Dr. Da'i. I'm a medical mycologist from the School of Public Health. I will have this class and tomorrow with you. For this session, I would like two subjects. One subject is about introduction to medical mycology, and for the next 2 hours, I will tell you about a very large group of fungi that we call saprophytic fungi. The first, introduction to medical mycology. I would like to tell you about medical mycology. What's the medical mycology? We can say that it is a course of science that is related to the identification of fungal infections and their causative agents along with prevention and treatment. The first, we should know about fungi. What are the fungi? Fungi is the plural name of fungus. Fungus is a single form of fungi, and fungi means all of the organisms that we name fungi in the world as the microscopically form and macroscopically form. So we can say that fungi is a diverse group of organisms that all of them are heterotrophs. For fungi, we know 2 groups. One group of these organisms that is called saprophytic fungi. These group of fungi always are not pathogenic for healthy individuals, but under predisposing factors or special circumstances, for example, for immunocompromised patients, can be pathogenic. But another group of fungi are named parasitic fungi. Parasitic fungi are pathogenic fungi and can be fatal or causative for all of the individuals, such as immunocompetent and immunocompromised. So we have 2 groups of saprophytic fungi and parasitic fungi. As the point of view of shape of the fungi, we have 2 groups. The first group are called molds or filamentous fungi, and another group is called yeasts. Molds or filamentous fungi usually are multicellular. Under the microscope, you can see the view of these fungus as multicellular. But about these, we can say that these group of fungi are unicellular, as facultative anaerobes, both of the respiration, aerobes and anaerobes. And the cell walls of fungi usually, in comparison with other microorganisms, are made up of chitin as the main polysaccharides. So chitin is very important for fungi in cell wall. So far, over 100,000 fungi species are identified. But from these joint of group of fungi, just we have 150 that are pathogenic for human and animals. Most human fungal infections are nosocomial and or occur in immunocompromised individuals always. So fungal infections is very important because usually occur among the immunocompromised patients. And we name this group of microorganisms nosocomial or opportunistic fungi. And it's very important point for fungi because all of the important fungal infections are among opportunistic fungi. Fungal diseases are seen among the plants, animals, humans, and also among the microorganisms like viruses and bacteria. And about $1 billion yearly, we can see some losses among the crops and because of the fungal infections. Okay? Do you understand?
Yes.
Characteristics of fungi. The first about yeast. As I told you, yeast are unicellular fungi. It means that these usually are seen under the microscope as non-filamentous form, just spherical form or oval form. And typically oval or spherical cells are seen under the microscope from the yeasts. Reproduce by mitosis. For example, binary fission like bacteria or bacteria. So asexual reproduction among the yeast usually is seen as two methods, binary fission and buddings. And that is important. More important among the yeast is budding form, no binary fission. Just among the old fungi, you can see binary fission method of reproduction. And always you can see budding method among the yeast. In binary fission, the yeast divide evenly to produce two new similar cells as a hypothesis. For example, for this method of reproduction, you can call Schizosaccharomyces. It is an old fungus. And budding form. In budding form, divide unevenly by budding. For example, Saccharomyces cerevisiae as a bread yeast is a kind of yeast. Occasionally, budding yeast can form pseudohypha. What's the pseudohypha? And generally, what's the hypha? Hypha, I would like to tell you about four terms first. Hypha, hyphae, mycelium, and mycelium. The first hypha. Hypha hypha means one filament of mold fungi. He named this one filament that is hypha. The plural name of hypha means hyphae. Usually after branching, you can see hyphae from the prior hypha. But the mycelium, a mass of hyphae, can make a mycelium. Mycelium means a mass of hyphae. And what's the mycelia? The plural name of mycelium. For example, you may see some mycelium in different kind of the site in the body. For example, sinuses, in lungs, and other sides of the body. So one mass is named mycelium, but the plural name of mycelium means mycelium. So I want to tell you about pseudohypha. Pseudo means not real. Not real. Pseudo is not real. So it's not real hypha. Why not real hypha? Because hypha I have seen among the mold fungi, but pseudohypha usually are seen among the yeast, because this is not real hypha among the yeast. Just we have among the mold hypha. Okay, but pseudohypha, that means that not real hypha, always seen among the yeast. And because of the special form or shape of this part, this portion, we name pseudohypha, because usually body cells can be long and silent. Pseudohypha means a chain of body cells that are located very besides them. So they are not attached together, just are located near to another body cells. So these shapes under the microscope are seen as like a fiber. So it is not real hypha and just seen among the yeast. Pseudohypha just seen among the yeast. Occasionally, body cells can form pseudohypha, and that means a following short chain of detached cells. For example, and very important example for yeast is Candida albicans. Do you hear about Candida albicans? Candida albicans is causative agent for thrush in the oral cavity among the infants. And after birth, in the oral cavity of infants, occasionally are seen some patches of thrush. So, because the agents of these fungal infection is named Candida albicans. That is a yeast of fungus. So, among Candida albicans invade pseudohypha, invade to the tissues. These fungus can invade to the pseudohypha, to the tissues. Or another example for pseudohypha usually are seen in vaginal candidiasis among the woman just mold have aerobic respiration, but these both of them, aerobic and anaerobic form. For example, when oxygen is available, they carry out aerobic respiration, but when oxygen is not available, they ferment carbohydrates and produce ethanol and carbon dioxide. In following, we have molds. Molds are multicellular and filamentous fungi. Identification of these organisms usually is done by physical appearance under the microscope, colony characteristics, and reproductive spores. Hypha, as I told you, hypha is single form, and hyphae, blue color, is the plural name of hypha. And hypha means long filament of fungus in mold. All of the molds can be divided in two groups. All of them. We have two groups called molds. The first group is called septated hyphae or septated hyphae, and another group is non-septated or aseptated fungi that has another name, coenicity hypha. So among the molds, you have two groups, septated hypha and aseptated hypha or coenicity hypha. In septated hypha or hyphae, cells are divided by crossbars. So along one filament, you can see some septum across the filament. Some septum. Septum means a wall that can separate one cell from another cell. So in septated hyphae, you can see some septum across the filament. So the plural name of septum means septa. So you can see some septa along the filament among the group of molds. That has another name, is coenocytic hyphae. So if I ask you in an exam, which group of these fungi are named or are called coenocytic hyphae? Mold or filamentous fungi without any septum. Without any septum means coenocytic hyphae. With septum means septated hyphae. Hyphae grow by elonging on the tips. The tips usually can grow. And each part of hypha is capable of growth. Hyphae are numerous. We have three different kinds for hyphae. The first group is named aerial hyphae. Another group is named vegetative hyphae. And the last group is named reproductive hyphae. The first aerial hyphae is the portion that obtains oxygen from the air, from the culture medium. Some of the filaments grow to the air. So this group of fungi, this group of hyphae want to observe some oxygen from the air. So we can name this group of hyphae aerial hyphae. Some of the hyphae usually like they obtains nutrients from the depth of the culture environment. So, we name this group of hyphae vegetative hyphae. And the last group of hyphae means reproductive hyphae because these portions connected with reproduction. Mycelium is large, resilient, filamentous mass made up of many hyphae, and mycelia is the plural name of mycelium. Okay, this figure show you in this side septated hyphae and aseptated hyphae or poinosity hyphae. In septated hyphae, you can see some septum that we named septa. As you see, each of cell contains some cytoplasm and one nucleus. And you can see some septum across the hyphae. So we name septated hyphae means with septum. And this figure show you non-septated hyphae or aseptated hyphae or poinosity hyphae, because all of the cytoplasmic fluid move from the end of filament up to top of the filament. And so you can see cytoplasmic fluid along with some liquid. In this part of the picture, you can see the germination of the spore. The first, you can see one spore as a unit of the fungus, one spore. After germination, the first, you can see one germ tube that can grow from out of the spore. Is filament means hypha, after branching means hyphae, and after that means mycelium. So this filament is the first that is very short, we name germ tube. And after that you can see one filament, after branching you have hypha, and after that hyphae and mycelium after very high branching. And this form show you a mass of mycelium. As you see, the piece of the one piece of the filament is named hypha, but the mass of the hypha after branching can make a mass of the mycelium. We have an exceptional group among the fungi that we name dimorphic fungi. Dimorphic fungi are a very limited group, about maximally as 10 in all of the world. So always you have just two groups of fungi, yeast and mold. But in a very limited level, you have a group of a very little group of fungi that we name dimorphic fungi. This group of fungi can exist as two both form, mycelial form or mold form and yeast form in their life cycle. For example, when this group of fungi grow in the environment in 25 degrees centigrade, temperature of 25 degrees centigrade, always produce and grow as mycelial form or mold form. Yes. But after entrance in the body, such as respiration and inhalation of these spores into the lung, centigrade. So you can see both of these shapes on time in the body and environment just because the changing temperature. So we can name the temperature dimorphic fungi because these changing form depending on temperature. So they can exist as to both for multicellular fungi molds and unicellular fungi yeast in their life cycle. They include many pathogenic species. All of these groups are pathogenic, but usually they are limited to some geographic regions. For example, in Africa and South or East or Central America. For example, from these fungal infections, we can call histoplasmosis, blastomycosis, coccidioidomycosis, and paracoccidioidomycosis. These four forms of fungal infections are included dimorphic fungi. They include many pathogenic species. Mold form means filamentous form, and the yeast form is mycelium, yeast form. Yeast form is usually this group reproduced by bodies. Dimorphism in pathogenic fungi typically depends on temperature. In dimorphic fungi, at 37 degrees centigrade, you can see yeast form, and in 25 degrees centigrade, you can see mold. Okay, in following of this subject, we can say that fungal spores are formed from aerial hyphae and are used for both sexual and asexual reproduction. It means that we have two methods of reproduction for fungi. All of the fungi can have production as asexual reproduction. So in medicine, asexual reproduction is very important because all of things that you can see under the microscope is resulted from asexual reproduction of fungi. But sexual reproduction from the medicine is not important, and just is important for epidemiological taxonomic and help you about knowing a new organism, new fungi that for taxonomic points. So that is important from the medicine is asexual reproduction, and all of the fungi has asexual reproduction, but some of them have sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, asexual spores formed by the aerial hyphae of one organism, because it is asexual reproduction. New organisms are completely similar to parent, including show you all types of asexual spores. The first arthrospore, and after that conidiospore, chlamydospore, and esporangiospore. So we have some asexual spores that we named arthrospore, conidiospore, chlamydospore, and esporangiospore. These are the kinds of asexual spores. For example, arthrospore, filamentous fungi or mold, can reproduce asexually by fragmentation of their hyphae. when one hypha can have asexual reproduction, can separate it from end of filament, separated. Okay, so one of these cells that usually are seen as rectangular spores are named arthrospores. So these arthrospores, after fragmentation, can separate it from the end of one filament. Arthrospore is the shape of arthrospore is rectangular form, and other forms of asexual spores that I also told you, conidiospore, glandiospore, and aspergiospore. All of fungi have asexual reproduction, but some of them has sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, sexual spores formed by the fusion of nuclei from two opposite mating strings of the same species. So you need two parents for sexual reproduction. New organisms are similar to both parents. Important classification of fungi. From the point of view of sexual reproduction, we have a special classification for all of the fungi. One group of these fungi is named Deuteromycota. What is the Deuteromycota? Another name is imperfecti fungi. Imperfecti fungi means that just this group of fungi has asexual reproduction, and this group has not any sexual reproduction. Okay? Deuteromycota is named imperfecti fungi. Why? Because just reproduction is done through the asexual reproduction, and so far you cannot see any sexual reproduction among this group. Okay? And we have three groups of fungi that has sexual reproduction in addition to asexual reproduction. As you can see, so far no sexual reproduction are known in this group in Deuteromycota. Just reproduce as asexually is done. But in Zygomycota as a second group, Ascomycota as a third group, and Basidiomycota as a fourth group have asexual reproduction along with sexual reproduction. For example, in Zygomycota, that we named this group of fungi as bread molds, that is included mucor and rhizobus that are coinocytic form under the microscope. Usually in Zygomycota, like mucor and rhizobus, we cannot see any septum along the hypha. These group of fungi are called bread molds, and usually under the microscope you can see as coinocytic hyphae because they are lack of septum. Asexual spore in this group in Zygomycota is named sporangiospore. Asexual spore usually are seen as sporangiospore. Okay? And sexual spores in this group is named zygospore. So, among the Zygomycota, if I ask you an exam, what's the asexual spores? Among the Zygomycota, sporangiospore. Okay? What is the sexual spores? In Zygomycota, we have zygospore. From the name, because they're very similar to together. So, zygomycota is named zygospore, asexual reproduction, usually seen under the microscope as estrogen. In third group of misclassification, we have ascomycota. Ascomycota means a group of fungi that can make a sac or a bag. A sac or a bag that usually sexual spores are located in this bag and named ascospore. Ascospore, about 2 up to 8 number are seen into the one asc. Ascus or asc or sac. So in an ascomycota that can make a sac or a bag, usually sexual spores that is named ascospores are located into sac or asc or ascus. So molds with septated hyphae. In this group, all of the fungi are septated, and some yeasts are included in this group. Asexual reproduction usually are seen as conidiospore. Conidiospore is the name of asexual spore in group of ascomycota. And sexual spore in ascomycota is named as ascospore. Okay, so zygomycota, the sexual spore is named zygospore. Ascomycota is ascospore. And ascospore includes a sac-like bag that we named ascus. Ascus means a bag that ascospores are located in these ascus. And the last group of this classification are basidiomycota. In basidiomycota, sexual spore is named basidiospore, like ascospore, like zygospore. Basidiomycota can make basidiospore as sexual spore. And asexual spores usually can see by fragmentations of the filament. This group of fungi include mushrooms, rust, and spores. These group of fungi are located in this group. So basidiomycota has sexual spores as basidiospores, and asexual spores usually is done through the septation, fragmentation of the life. Okay, you understand?
Yes.
Nutritional adaptations of fungi. Fungi absorb their food rather than ingest. So fungi absorb their food through the cell wall and cell membrane rather than ingesting. Fungi grow better at the pH of 6 up to 6.8, very close to neutral pH, which is too acidic for most bacteria. So the optimum pH for fungi is about 6 up to 6.8. Almost all molds are aerobic. Most yeasts are facultative and anaerobic. Fungi are more resistant to high osmotic pressure than bacteria. So fungi is very easy to grow in comparison with bacteria. Fungi even can grow on substances with very low moisture. Fungi require less nitrogen than bacteria to grow. And fungi can break down complex carbohydrates like wool and papers that most bacteria cannot. Fungal diseases. So all of the fungal diseases in the world can be divided in 4 groups. Fungal infections usually tend to be chronic form, but bacteria usually can make acute form of diseases. So usually tend to the chronic form because fungi grow very slowly in the tissues, in the organs of the body, including fungal infections, including the first group of fungal infection is named systemic mycosis or deep mycosis. What mycosis? What's mycosis? Myco means fungi, and zes, S-E-S or S-I-S means infections or diseases. So systemic mycosis means fungal infections that usually are seen as deep and can invade to all of the organs through the blood or lymph. So this group of fungi is very dangerous and can be fatal among the individuals. Systemic mycosis or deep mycosis, because the depth of the body can be through the blood. Fungal infections are deep within the body, can affect a number of tissues and organs, usually caused by fungi that live in the soil. So these fungal infections, causative agent for systemic mycosis, always lives into the soil, and after inhalation of these spores can enter to the lung after inhalation and through the blood can contribute in all of the organs and tissues. So usually caused by fungi that live in the soil and are inhaled. They are not contagious. These fungal infections are not contagious. And main mode of infection is through the inhalation of the spores. For example, cryptococcosis. Do you know about cryptococcosis? Cryptococcosis? Huh? No. Cryptococcosis is has another name as fungal meningitis. Fungal meningitis, no bacterial meningitis. The clinical presentations are very similar to bacterial meningitis, but usually are caused by some group of fungi that are seen as a mold, as a yeast, and the causative agent is named Cryptococcus neoformans. Causative agent is Cryptococcus neoformans that can cause a systemic infection that we name cryptococcosis. Cryptococcosis. Cryptococcus neoformans as a commensal form usually lives in gastrointestinal of pigeon without any clinical presentation in animal. But in drops of the pigeons, and after the dust can inhale from the inspiration into the body of human can cause to disease. Usually among the immunocompromised patients, no healthy patients. So cryptococcosis is an example for systemic mycosis. causes.
Does that mean that the healthy individuals are resistant to this fungi?
Because usually the individuals that cause to these fungal infections has T cell deficiencies. So among the immunocompromised patients, these fungal infections are seen. No healthy patients. But if the volume of the spores are very high after inspiration and inhalation, can help patients and others can. Second systemic infection is named cutaneous mycosis. Cutaneous means
Skin.
skin, cutaneous means skin. They are fungal infections of skin, hair, and nails. So this group of fungi that name this group as dermatophytic agents, can cause two cutaneous mycosis, and usually can cause some clinical presentation in hair, scales, and skin of the body, and nails, toenails, and fingernails. These fungi secrete keratinase. This group of fungi has a very special enzyme as keratinase that after trans to the skin can digest the keratin in the layer of the skin and go beneath into the cutaneous. Infection is transmitted by direct contact or contact with infected air. Direct contact and indirect contact. So this group of fungi are contagious, can be transferred from a healthy involved patients to healthy patients. So this group of fungi are contagious and directly with direct contact or indirectly from the infected hair salon by the nail or scales, inoculated scales, can transfer from to another healthy patients, healthy individuals. For example, very important examples for cutaneous mycosis is dermatophytosis. As you see in this picture, you can see dermatophytosis of the trunk. Trunk means body from the neck up to groin. So dermatophytosis of the body or trunk from the neck up to groin is named corporis. Corporis means trunk or body. So dermatophytosis of the body is named tina of corporis. And as you see, you can see some lesions of dermatophytic agents in the thigh. And if these causative agents, means dermatophytic agents, invade to the nails, such as toenails or fingernails, can cause to these disfigurations of the nails.
It's the same name? Same name?
Yeah. The same name means tinea unguium. Tinea unguium means dermatophytosis of the nail, including toenail and finger. And usually, always, all of the nails are involved because this causative agents is contagious. And third form of fungal infections is named subcutaneous mycosis. In this group of fungal infections that causative agent of these fungal infections that usually lives in the environment as a saprophytic fungi can, after trauma or inoculation, can go beneath the skin, and after sometimes you can see one or several abscesses or cysts under the skin. So these form of fungal infection is named subcutaneous mycosis, caused by saprophytic fungi that live in soil or on vegetation matter. Infection occurs by implantation of the spores or mycelia fragments into a skin wall. Can spread to lymph vessels. Usually, all of the systemic infections can spread through the blood, while subcutaneous infections can spread through the lymph. For example, sporotrichosis that has another name, Rose syndrome, usually are seen among the farmers or gardeners that work and contact with rose plants after inoculation of the spikes of these plants can cause to sporotrichosis. Or so, this has another name, Rose syndrome. And usually these sort of fungal infections are named subcutaneous mycosis and always spread through the lymph vessels. And the last group of fungal infections, and this most simple form of fungal infections, are called superficial mycosis. Just epidermis is involved, no dermis. So, among the cutaneous mycosis, epidermis and dermis are involved. But in superficial mycosis, just the epidermis layer or starting hormone is involved. So, they are infection of hair shafts and superficial epidermal cells. Prevalent is high in tropical and subtropical areas. For example, Tina versicolare. Do you know about Tina versicolare? Huh?
No.
It's very current form of superficial mycosis and usually are seen as some macules as hyperpigmentation or hypopigmentation macules, usually in interior of the trunk, in cilium-rich sides of the body, neck, back, flexor, armpit, up to brain. That usually the sebaceous glands are very concentrated in some parts of the body. So, you can see the clinical presentation after take a bath or swimming in a pool, very, very completely clear. This is clinical presentation for sporotrichosis. As you see, the lymph vessels are involved, and usually lymphangiectasia are seen among these fungal infections. So, abscesses or cysts are seen along the lymph vessel. And this picture related to the Tina versicolare. As I told you, and the armpit, you can see some hyperpigmentation macules in the armpit. Usually among the people with dark skin, you can see some hyperpigmentation macules, but among the people with dark skin, we can say hyperpigmentation macules. It's finished. If you have a question, please ask.
Thank you so much.
But why is okay?
چند دقیقه؟ چند